Hi everyone, I'm Joe. Today it's time for me to do my monthly reading wrap up for March 2022. March was a good reading month. I read 5 books in total by 5 different authors in 4 genres. So it's a very mixed and varied month, and they're all extremely good quality. So without further delay, I'll get straight into talking about the books. And the first of those books were, a Discworld book. This time, Unseen Academicals by Pratchett. This is the 37th Discworld novel. I will be doing a separate review of this in the upcoming month. In the past week or two, I've been trying to catch up on filming all the reviews for these because I'd left it, frankly, a little bit behind, so I was quite a few books sort of deficit. However, I have almost fixed that now. So over the next few months, you'll see a lot more Discworld reviews, as always, for the last year, and you will actually see the end of the Discworld reviews finally as well, because I've actually almost read through the entire series, which is both nice and sad, because that means that I'll never have another new Discworld book to me to read, which would be a shame. This one is brilliant. It's basically Pratchett introducing modern football to the Discworld, and he does it in a way that is both ridiculous but funny, but also meaningful, with some actual meaningful characters and ideas. I really liked it, so I'll definitely be looking forward to doing the review on this one. The second book that I read is an ebook, and that is a Desolation called Peace, written by Arkady Martine. This is the second book in the Talaxican series. The first of those was a memory called Empire, which I read the year before last, which I thought was really good, same as many other people, and indeed it won the Yōko award, unless I'm mistaken. And I did actually nominate it for that, I believe. Well, I definitely voted for it for that year, which I'm quite pleased about. And this second one is also interesting for, it's got a slightly different feel than the first book, unsurprisingly, but it's still just as amazingly well written. Great characters, great world building, and the nuances of the writing, because of this, of course, the main character, Martine, is a diplomat. She obviously knows language and communication skills rather well, so, to be an understatement, and her ability to communicate with people is in great demand because there is an alien, essentially sort of invasion army, in space that's coming to attack her empire, and basically she's being sort of tasked with trying to communicate with them and hopefully not letting this get out of hand and not getting into a true bloodbath, frankly. And she's accompanied again by 3 Seagrass, who is not one of her from her own empire. She's actually from the sort of enemy empire of sorts, and they get on well and they interact in a really interesting way, which is just brilliant to see and really nice to see as well. And overall, this is a really nice story, well written, great plot, and it's just really impressive, frankly. I mean, Arkady Martine has certainly kept that bar that she set with the first one really high. I wouldn't say this necessarily surpasses the first novel, but it equals it, frankly. It is just as good as a memory called Empire, which frankly is impressive, to say the least. The third thing that I read in March is a Red Herring Without Mustard. This is the third in the Flavia Duluth mystery series, of which the last I heard, I believe there is 10 of them in total, and I'll be working my way through all of them over the next few months, obviously. Flavia is a young girl in the series. She is from this rich, well-to-do family, although they've slightly more fallen on hard times with her dad and her 2 sisters. Her mother sadly died some years previously, and her particular thing and the sort of emphasis of the books is on science, because she has got a talent and a very specific interest in chemistry. She has, in this big old house that they live in, she's got a chemistry lab, a very well established one, who a previous member of the family years ago had set up, and she sort of claimed it as her own. Now she essentially investigates crimes, nearly always a murder, that happen in this local area, which is sort of a small village type England, the stereotypical type setting, although certainly with a few interesting additions and alterations to keep it different and fresh. And just Flavia is a brilliant character. The plot lines are great, and just the way she interacts with other people, because this is obviously set many years ago in the post World War II years, I believe it is, or just before World War II. I think it's just after World War II, and it's interesting in how she interacts with people, because of course she's young, children should be seen and not heard type idea, but she's actually more intelligent than most of the people around her. She does have great respect for the main inspector, obviously, whom she ends up interacting with quite frequently, and it's just a really fun book, interesting plot lines, great characters. This one is to do with when she goes to a fair, she gets her fortune sort of looked at by a gypsy, helps out a gypsy, and things go from there. Let's say, I'm not going to say too much more. And it's just a fun plot, good writing, and the plot also doesn't exactly go where you think, because the idea of Flavia with a chemistry set is a little bit different than a lot of novels. There being chemistry involved, and obviously her age as well, that slightly alters the dynamics of certain things that you would expect to be, oh yes, certain events will go this way, but because of her age and because of her interests, things don't always go in the way you expect. And I actually think that's quite good and really adds to this book, and indeed the overall series, because it makes it a little bit harder to predict, and it keeps it curious and interesting. As for the fourth thing I read in March, that is a short story collection called Love After the End. This is edited by Joshua Whitehead. This has about 12 short stories in it, roughly. I should have actually made a note of that, but I forgot to. And this is a short story collection, obviously post-apocalyptic stories, but with focus on, I believe the subheading is indigiqueer. I could be misremembering that. I should have made a note of that as well. And it's characters who don't identify as as a traditional gender, or in various ways. And it's an interesting collection. I read this because it's the pick for the March monthly book club that Raya runs, who's a friend of mine. And in fact, when this video goes live, the previous date, almost exactly 24 hours before you'll be seeing this video, I will be doing and joining Raya for a live show talking about this collection. So hopefully, I'll retweet Raya's tweet on this and that sort of thing. So hopefully people might join. And it's a really interesting and well-written collection. Of course, it's a short story collection, so there are some short stories in it that I thought were really good, some that were like, whatever, frankly. That's totally predictable for short story collections. That almost always happens. It's only occasionally where there's one collection that's either truly terrible or truly phenomenal. Most are in between. And this was a nice predictable mixture, which always leads to a sort of fun reading, especially as a group read, and I'm actually writing my thoughts down as I go. And the short stories are all interesting, well written, got different and alternative ideas, and frankly keep you thinking from the moment that you read the first short story to the moment you read the end of the last one. Then they're never exactly what you can predict, and I like this short story collection a lot. I was really impressed by it overall. And finally we get on to the fifth and last thing that I read in March, and that is The Housekeeper and the Professor, written by Yōko Ogawa. Now this is one that I originally got interested in due to a friend of mine called Rachel, known as FinalBlowJoe. As you may know, I often get inspired to read things from Rachel and quite enjoy blaming her for making me read books. So Rachel, you're guilty again. This was a brilliant book. I really enjoyed this. I read this at the very end of the month, only a few days ago from when this video goes live, and I'm really glad I did, because the premise of it is actually very simple, and the overall idea of the book is as well, in that it's quite simply, there is a professor of mathematics. He's extremely intelligent, but some years previously he had a car accident which rendered his short-term memory extremely short indeed. He can only remember things for the previous 80 minutes. After that, he can't remember anything apart from when he goes back to 1975, which, as of when the book is set, this is over 15 years ago. So essentially he's got a blank memory of like more than 15 years, and then he can only remember things for 80 minutes prior to when it is now. He gets a new housekeeper assigned to him from an agency, and essentially the whole story is, obviously as you can tell by the title, the relationship and the way him and the housekeeper, and importantly her young son, interact, because she may only be there for a job, she may only be like part of an agency worker there, but she comes to actually realise that he's actually not just somebody that she cleans up for and cooks a few meals for and then goes home. He's more than that. He's actually a nice person. He's got a very curious way of looking at the world, because he's obsessed with mathematics and his mind is attuned to everything mathematical. And of course, even when she each day goes to his house and stuff and starts doing work for him, she has to reintroduce herself to him every single day. And he walks around with little notes on him, essentially like yellow stickers, essentially, to remind him of certain events. Like, for instance, he's got one that says new housekeeper and her name, to remind him that he actually has a housekeeper and that he should know who she is. So it's the interactions between the two of them is the whole point of the book, and it's just so nicely written, and it's quite a sweet book, I suppose you could say. The interactions between them are just genuinely nice, and they work really well, and I just enjoyed reading this, and it's one that I would recommend for other people, because it's just, ideas in it are just frankly great, and it's well written, great characters, obviously only a few of them, and really quite nuanced and really intricate writing, which I really was impressed by this. I mean, I would recommend, actually this is probably my favourite book of the month, joint with the Pratchett, to be honest, because it's Pratchett. So I would really recommend this, because the writing is phenomenal. I really was impressed by this, as you can tell, but I keep saying that. So yeah, I was very happy that I read this one. And with that said, that is it for all of the books that I read in March. There was only 5 of them in total. Obviously the books, I'll put links to them as well as all the physical books there in the description box below. If you want to know more about any of the books or just have a talk about them, then please leave a comment. If you have any suggestions based on books you think I might enjoy because of these, then again please say so, because I'm always interested in getting to know new authors and new genres, subgenres, that sort of thing. All my social media links can be found in the description box below. And with that said, that is it for this video. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you another day. Bye for now.